history of the Hollies Convent FCJ of Manchester. In France, in the year of our Lord 1820, Marie Madeleine Victoria founded the Society of the Faithful Companions of Jesus in Amiens and here in England. In the same year, Father Rowland Broomhead founded the mission of St. Augustine in the meadows of the outskirts of the township of Manchester. At first, these appeared to be two desperate events, but as the FCJs were destined to give a century of service to the children of St. Augustine's, it is not unreasonable to think divine providence inspired the birth of this new order in the church and of this new parish in the heart of industrial England in the same year. The FCJs came back to Manchester at the request of Bishop Turner after the presentation nuns who came to Liversey Street in 1836. They were the second order of nuns to settle in Manchester since the Reformation. At first, they travelled daily from Adelphi, Salford, to St. Augustine's Paul's School, Granbury Row, but in 1852 they rented a house in Brook Street. In 1853, they took charge of the Girls' Day School in part of the Granbury Row building, where the Xavier brothers were teaching the boys. The Brook Street house was near the Holy Name and served by the Jesuits. The nuns started there a secondary school for girls. There were two classrooms, one on the ground floor and one upstairs opposite the chapel. In a long, narrow room, probably the old coach house, was the prep school, and a separate school in the garden was known as St. Joseph's. Wow. Okay, now. Madness. Proper decayed and burnt out. Stay at that. The greatest tribute of the work of the nuns in the Brook Street School is found in a former pupil's comment. Of the religious influence, I cannot say enough. It was not so much the religious instructions as the personal contact with the nuns that influenced us. They were all saints and led most austere lives. They certainly lived in the basement of this house at the time. They must have been so very poor, though poverty was never alluded to. Devotion to the Passion, the Rosary, the 9 First Fridays, Quadrant Or, the Holy Souls and Benediction made a lifelong impression on our minds and hearts. It is a small wonder that a newly ordained Jesuit come to say Mass at the Hollies in 1922 told the children that under God he owed the vocation to the early training he received from the nuns as a boy at Brook Street Convent, not only on the children of their school, but on very many convents was the deep spiritual influence of the nuns felt. In 1900, Reverend Mother General at her visitation expressed concern at seeing the inconvenience both in work and health under which the nuns laboured in Brook Street. Consequently, in September 1900, the nuns and school moved to the Hollies at Fallowfield. There were 30 pupils attending that September, but the number grew to 40 during the year. Among the greatest traditions transferred to the new premises from Brook Street were fervent devotion of Our Lady, especially expressed in the joyous celebrations of her feast on December 8th. Preps to the feast in 1904, the Jubilee year of the definition of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. By 1908, there were 78 pupils, of whom the seniors were being prepared for the Oxford exams. Sir Edward Donner had given Reverend Mother the key to his private garden so that the nuns could use it at any time. On the day of the garden party, July 17th, the bishop, a number of clergy visitors, children and the band went to Sir Edward's garden, where he and Lady Donna greeted them. The work of the nuns continued to be blessed and to extend. Increasing numbers and Board of Education requirements necessitated the provision of the more accommodation, and in 1920 a neighbouring house, the Acorns, was purchased. At first, the younger children were accommodated in the Acorns and the girls over 11 in the Hollies. A new science room was built and further additions, including a corridor connecting the two houses, were made. In January 28, Bishop Henshaw presided at the official opening of the new chapel. By Easter of that year, the Hollies had become the school and the Acorns the convent. By 1935, there were 245 children at the Hollies, including some boarders, and they needed more space, and which led to the purchase of Oakbank in 1938. The war prevented the use of the school, but its cellars were converted into air raid shelters for 300 children. In 1952, yet another house, Stane Wood, was purchased to cope with the ever-increasing numbers. If you can see, no, you can't see, there's just that bar there. I'll take you around. Let's take you around. Definitely is a playing field. Ew, what's that? Ooh! Is it a dead dog? Oh my god, it's got teeth. That's someone's poor fucking dog, man. That's someone's dog. As you can see, we're on the tennis courts and the pavilion. Here is how the site would have been laid out. The school's most notable former pupil is royal family creator Caroline Aherne, who reportedly got 9 A's in her O-levels during her time there. The site eventually closed in 1985 after the Salford Diocese merged it with St Mark's School. The site was actually demolished in the late 80s and is now a housing estate. This is the original entrance at the Didsbury site, and also I'll pop you a copy up of how it looks now, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video and the knowledge. Don't forget to hit that like button, share and subscribe. Catch you all on the next one.